Okay, welcome to this tutorial. And in our previous video we talked about how to create a basic assembly. In this video I'll show you how to create an assembly with conditional cut or fill, allowing the program to display or create a cross section that either allows maybe a side ditch or there's no side ditch, especially in fill sections, and in cut sections we can have a side drain. In order to use one assembly for a long section or long region, we usually apply the conditional element of the assembly. To find the conditional subassembly parameter, you go to the tool palettes and then go to conditional, and then you can always have the conditional cut or fill. Okay, I'll create an assembly right quick. I'll go to the assembly tab, create assembly, and I will call it maybe conditional. In this tutorial we shall also create a corridor and also create cross sections to see how the program responds to a conditioned assembly with certain parameters. Let's go in and see how to do this one. Okay, we shall place our assembly anywhere we want, and then this is the base point along which this base is where the alignment runs. So as the corridor is being created, this central point is where the alignment, or the baseline, which is the horizontal alignment, and then also the vertical alignment, which is the profile along which the assembly runs. So here to create, we shall create maybe the lens, and then I'll use generic. Usually that's what I use, and I'll use length, width, and slope. And I'll do this, and I'll go to subassembly properties. I'll be a little quick. That's if you went through the previous video. And then I'll also give this 3.5. Today I'll basically be concentrated with a conditional subassembly. So this subassembly I've just added is for the shoulder, which I'll give 2 meters. Also the same crossfall, normal crossfall, and I'll say okay. Then it's time now to deal with our conditional subassembly. So we shall have the rod alignment you see here goes through regions of cut and fill, as I will show you here in our surface. I'll turn it on, and you can see the mountainous sections, the valley sections. So the alignment goes through all those regions. So I'll turn it off, and then so in order to allow for to have a ditch maybe in a cut section, or to have no ditch in the fill section, is determined by the conditional subassembly. And like I've told you, I'll start with the conditional cut. So for the conditional cut, I'll go back here, and then conditional. Then you click anywhere here at the base point, and this it automatically comes as a cut, a conditional cut. So we shall go to subassembly properties and then change this. We can leave it to cut. If you want to make it to fill, it's up to you. But we shall start with the cut. Under cut, we want the layout width is the length. The layout width you're seeing here is 3.6. So from here up to the end point is 3.6. So we shall try to increase to make things a little bit visible. So I'll put this maybe to 10. Then the minimum distance and maximum distances. So these parameters dictate that if you're saying, these are actually the conditions. So if you're saying that the minimum distance is 0.00, meaning in any cut section, once the cut enters, once the assembly gets into a cut region of a minimum of 0, implying once it sets into the cut, what should we do? What embankment should we have? Should we have a drain or we shouldn't have it? And for a cut section, we always recommend what? A ditch. But in some sections, at least maybe you can say the minimum is 2.0 meters, and the minimum is 0, and then the maximum is gotten to 2. That from 0 to 2 meters, we don't need a ditch. And then beyond 2 meters up to infinity, we shall have a ditch, because in a cut section of about 2 meters and below, you literally may not need a ditch. But as the alignment goes through the cut section of a mountainous region, and this cut gets to be higher, we may need a ditch. So we appropriate for it. So that's what the conditional parameter or element of the subassembly does. It senses where the cut section has gone beyond 2 meters zone. It fixes for you a drain. So let's go. What should we put in such a section? So you can see we've increased the length, the layout length. This is the layout length to 10 meters. So that's why it's a bit longer than it was in default setting. So we want to know from 0 to 2 meters, what should we put? Well, we shall cut and put a ditch. But you notice that from 0 to 2 meters, should we leave it not in a cut, without a ditch? Or maybe the hydrologist or a drainage design will dictate at what point we should have the ditch. So I'll go back to subassembly properties and then allow a ditch to be put at every point in the cut, even if it starts from 0, even if it starts from 1. So I'll go to generic again and fix my my ditch. I'll go to link, width and slope, and maybe I'll go a little bit faster. So I can make 1.2, and this is negative 66.6 maybe. Then I do that, then I'll go back here and do this subassembly properties, then give this as the best, which is 0%, and then it is 0.5. Click OK. Then I'll also do this, then I'll go to subassembly properties again, and this maybe I can make 0.8 at 100%. Click OK. Then I'll create the thickness of the drain, which can go for 0.2. I'm a bit fast because I assume you went through the previous tutorial on how to create this. So from here, I'll fix a daylight bench. To allow that maybe if it goes through a cut section that is so deep that maybe beyond 2 meters, put a bench. And after every 2 meters, you put a bench. So like that. And then I'll go to daylight bench, which is this one. I'll fix it here. Then I go to subassembly properties. Then I'll put this to 1.5, which is 66.66, and the maximum cut height is 6 meters. And this is 1.5 to 1, that's 66%, 66.67, whatever it might be, maximum field height. But this is not necessary at the moment because we're not in the field. Whether I put it or not, this one, actually I needed to deal with this too because I have a condition subassembly that states only cut. So these parameters with the fill and are not applicable. They won't apply anyway because the conditional element of the subassembly applies first. It precedes the daylight bench. It precedes every other thing. So I'll click apply and then OK. Then I'll fix another conditional subassembly for the fill section. And I'll go to subassembly properties and then I'll say I want it in fill, then OK. The maximum fill, then what do I do? This is it. This is literally, we can also